you?
Hi, I'm doing fine. How are you?
Great. I'm great. And I'm so excited to go over the results of your Myers Briggs and your Campbell Interest survey. So, which one would you like to start with first?
I guess the Myers Briggs, because that's the first one I took.
Okay. And am I right that your results came back as an ISTJ?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And so did you have a chance then, obviously, to read the description of kind of what they think that type of a personality is?
Yes. I did.
And how did you feel about it? Did you feel that represented you well?
Yes, I felt like it represented me well. It kind of opened my eyes because introversion, to me, that's someone who's closed in. And since I'm pursuing counseling, it's kind of, it can be a little bit disturbing. But I guess being quiet and being a good listener and attentive is, kind of a quality of a counselor. So I kind of talked myself into thinking that is a quality I can use. But yeah, I know that's, I always refer to myself as socially awkward. So I thought maybe, this kind of explains it all. Once I read the description saying that, people tend to focus on their inner world and the ideas, impressions, and to me it's just someone who is not as social as extroverts. So
yes, and I think that's a great way to look at it, because I mean, introversion, in the Myers-Briggs world is, it isn't the same as I think, people probably view it, in what I would call like the normal world, where it's someone who wants to stay away from people and has no interest in hanging out with other people. I mean, it's more of just to me, it represents someone who's very reflective. They take time to process information before they make a judgment. And I think those are all wonderful qualities for a counselor, because as a counselor, you don't want to be quick to assume. You want to make sure that you're taking in what your client is saying and using all of your information before you give them advice or direction. So I'm happy to hear that you took it as a positive.
yeah, I did. I didn't want to. At first, I was a little bit angry because I was like, well, I'm supposed to be social, and want to talk, and I do, I want to help people, and that's why, I'm going through a transition right now. I work in the financial industry, and I have for the past 14 years of my life, and so I decided, about 7 years ago, halfway through my career now, that I wanted to do something different, something that would make me feel good. And I remember, that I was, when I was in high school, I took a similar survey that said I should be a counselor. So I remembered that as I was taking a required psychology class for my business degree. And so I just fell in love instantly there, and I knew that that's what I wanted to do.
So I'm interested to know, because the fact that you are in the financial industry and you have been for quite a long time, and that is one of the occupations, that the Myers-Briggs lists, with somebody with your personality, kind of personality type. So how do you go from, like, you obviously enjoy finance and analyzing and numbers and things like that. So was it just really like kind of a life shift that moved you away from like wanting to stay in finance?
Well, the thing
that
is,
really is a part of your personality.
Oh yeah, I think that maybe it's like half of my life I've been doing it. Basically, half of my life I have been doing, all of this, finance type stuff, analytical type stuff. And so I feel that maybe, I don't know if this is even possible, but I feel like maybe it's just kind of wired into me. Because I started out when I was 19 in the financial industry. And so I feel that it's wired a little bit into me, and just so many years of it, I've learned to be this, but I'm not quite sure. Maybe I've always been this person, and I'm comfortable in this situation, and so that's why I've stayed in it so long. But at the same time, the reason I decided to is because I grew up in a very loving my dad was a very loving person, and I got to see him volunteer. He involved me volunteering and helping others, and he was just a very helping person. So I felt that it made me feel good, and I wanted to do that. And so with the monotony of, the bureaucracy of all of the financial industry, business field, not that I don't love it and I'm not comfortable with it, I just found that maybe I'm kind of lost here. I feel like I'm going nowhere. I want to do something good with my life. And, it's kind of hard to when you have a full-time job. So I thought to myself, why don't I make that my job?
Right.
And as a Christian, I just felt that way too, I've always been a Christian, so.
Yeah, so it sounds like your inherent, the value, your strong values of wanting to give back, of wanting to, help and comfort and be involved with people. It sounds like that value that has probably really always been inside of you is just really coming to the surface. And you're realizing now that you're going to get more fulfillment, from going that direction versus maybe kind of staying stagnant in, just numbers and finance and what you're, comfortable with, but, it's not reaching inside, it's not reaching those core values that you want right now.
Right. I mean, to me, this is like one of the biggest risks in the world. A lot of people might not think so, but to me it is, because I don't like change very much. I'm not a person that changes. And so, you know what? I've made psychology and counseling like a 5-year process. I'm getting used to it that way, but I knew it's something I wanted to do. But I was like, I'm never going to do it if I don't, make the changes now. And so I started through school making the changes and practicing that way. But I mean, it's a big deal to me because I really don't like change very much. I like to be comfortable, where I'm at, and a place, an environment where I'm trusted. But to me, I feel that I'd be denying myself and my dreams if I didn't do this, and I would regret it. And I don't want to have any regrets. So.
Well, I think that's just totally awesome. I mean, I think that's great that that you can recognize the things that you still want to do and the things that you still want to contribute, and, you're willing to take that risk. And it is uncomfortable. Change isn't easy by any means for many people, but it's certainly not easy when you do have a job and, and an occupation that you've been in for such a long time that you said you are comfortable in, and you just kind of know it like the back of your hand. I mean, then, it's a really big shift. But kudos to you for going for what you know is going to make, your heart and your spirit and your life more fulfilling.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, okay, so that brings us to the Campbell Interest Survey.
Okay.
So, what did you think about that one? Were you surprised by anything?
No, I wasn't, because it said the results, or the end results, were saying that I should pursue counseling and financial. So, so I wasn't surprised at all. In fact, I really enjoyed this one because it was a little bit more direct. It gave me an actual direction, and it was also comforting to me to know that what I'm doing is my passion, because it kind of it asks for interest and it asks for experience, and then I assume that it combines it, and so so from that I felt a little comforted because I put what I want on there. I didn't just so I feel that that's what I want to do. That's what I'm pursuing. I'm in finance now, and I feel like I could go either way, but I know that my passion's in counseling, so I know I can see that clear now.
Yeah, I do think that's really kind of actually cool that it did show, the two things that are so prominent in your life, which is the financial, the analyzing, the, systems, the logic, and all this other stuff, and then you were totally told, through this survey to pursue and develop, lots of occupations within the helping dynamic. So it really did seem to nail you down. So I thought that was actually really interesting.
Right.
Were you bummed out or, surprised at the things that told you to avoid?
let's see. No, I totally hate speaking in public. Sales. My dad was a salesman when he retired from the military, and he was always gone. So I always said I want to stay away from sales. So no. Art design. I love to paint on my free time, but that's not one of my priorities. For a career, I'm not really disappointed with anything really.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Well, it sounds to me like both of these assessments and kind of tests here really help solidify who you are and your inherent characteristics and qualities, but also to me it sounds like confirmed for you that you really are currently in and also pursuing things that really do go with your core self, your core values and interests. Is that how you feel about everything?
Yes, I do.
Okay, awesome. Well, again, I'm just really excited for you, and I wish you all the best in your continued studies and efforts into making your counseling dream come true, and just have a great time with it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Desiree. How are you?
Doing just good. So do you want to go ahead and describe or go over the surveys that I gave you last week?
Yeah, I would love to.
Okay.
And if it's okay, let's start with the Myers Briggs.
Okay, sure. I show that you're the ESFJ. Was that something you were expecting to get?
Yes. It really kind of was. I certainly felt like I definitely view myself as a very loyal person. And I also really do like to work with people to get things done. And I think the thing that resonated the most with me about the description of that type of person is that they notice what other people need on a day-to-day basis, because that is huge in my life. I love to make sure my family, my friends, or just if something's going on at church, I really get a lot of satisfaction out of making sure that people are okay, do they have what they need, things like that. So I really felt that it did describe me very well.
Okay, so I'm indicating that you're happy about the results that you received on this survey.
Yes. Yes, I think so.
And how do you think that will tie into your future career?
Well, I think for me, it just sort of solidified that, I just feel I really feel it's just in my nature. It literally is just who I am. It's just my core value. I feel like it's the way I was created. And I think that those kinds of qualities, I think will transfer very well into becoming a therapist, because, I have this need and desire to want to help and care about and listen to and support people. And so, it just really solidified for me that, I do possess those inherent things that I think would translate very well into being a therapist.
Okay, and it's kind of your way of contributing, not only to yourself, but to your to others.
Yes.
As the results indicate.
Yeah, I do get a lot of satisfaction out of helping others. And yeah, it's good for me. It's good for other people. I feel like it's kind of a win-win. Now, I will say, in my little, profile there kind of said it too, that people that have my personality type, want to be appreciated for who they are and what they contribute. And that is very true of me. My love language is words of affirmation. And so, as much as I give affirmation and support, I also, get satisfaction out of getting it back as well, or get the satisfaction if I think I've helped somebody or made a difference for somebody. So, again, it's just sort of, confirming to me that, yeah, you're doing the right thing.
Right. Okay. Well, that's a very strong quality to have, as a counselor, especially if you're going to go into, kind of counseling, cognitive style, positive therapy,
Right.
that type of therapy, that could be something very useful and very helpful. So,
Yeah, I think so too.
was there anything that you were kind of questioning or disappointed with on the Myers Briggs?
No, I mean, not really. I mean, I thought it was pretty straightforward, and I really just felt like it did a good job summing it up. And, I think the occupations that they kind of listed that, go with my personality type, was like a teacher or a office manager or healthcare worker. So, it didn't flat out say, counseling or therapist, but I felt like the occupations that were associated with it were still basically the same thing, teaching, helping, guiding, things like that. So there was really nothing that I felt negative about.
Okay, well, I mean, you sound very confident about that. The results and also about your career choice. So let's go ahead and move on to the Campbell survey and talk about that a little bit. I show here it says things to pursue. Now, other than helping, it says office practices. How do you think that will help you out in your pursuance of counseling?
I think that is probably, going to be good in terms of, making sure that, things are documented and followed, the right way. And so I think that that's just kind of like a general, guideline or assessment of, hey, you're probably good at organizing, you're probably good at, wanting to keep track of things and making sure that things are done the right way. And I think that that's true of me as well. So I look at that as, when I am in practice, just making sure that my practice is run ethically and, that everything is done as well as it can be done.
Okay, so you're feeling, that that's something that can actually help secure or be more secure for you in the helping and counseling industry. So, so were you surprised by any of the results of this?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I was a little surprised that I was basically told to avoid everything but helping. I just was kind of like, really? Wow. Okay.
Well, it kind of points the finger.
Yeah, I mean, at first I was kind of like, wow, I guess I kind of suck because I'm not, good at anything but apparently helping. But then, when I really looked at it and I really looked at the things that, were within, each of those subjects that they were basically saying avoid, I'm like, yeah, that's not me. I mean, I'm not good with, finances. I don't like math and science. I don't want to work with my hands and build things out of wood. So, I mean, as much as I was like, wow, I kind of wish I was more well-rounded, I was also, in a weird way, okay, well, this just totally tells me that I'm a helper. I mean, that's what I should do.
Right. I mean, well, you can be well-rounded in your own field, of counseling and.
Yes, that is true.
So,
that is very, very true.
I mean, if you're focused on one thing, that is something that can, actually help you out more than having more things that you need to more, interest. It can distract you from, your main focus. So, I mean, I think that this is actually a positive thing for you, but you sound that, you're very, just confident and positive about, these results because, these are basically your interest. So.
Yeah, I mean, they really are. Yeah, I mean, like I said, at first I was kind of like, okay, why do I avoid everything else in life? But when I really went through them, they're not my interests. They're not where I'm going to get a sense of joy or a sense of value. And so I just sort of was like, okay, well, I'm just going to rock and roll with the fact that I'm a helper. That's the way I was designed. And really everything, these assessments and tests are just confirming that, that really is my true nature. That is where I get my value. And so, yeah, I mean, I feel a lot better about it than I did when I first looked at the results. But now I'm good. I processed through it, and I'm
Okay, good. So it was, something that was reassuring to you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good.
Yeah.
Well, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and call it a day.
All right.
All right.
Well, thanks so much.
Thank you.